The following podcast contains adult language and themes, so don't say we didn't fucking warn you.
You're listening to SarahTalk. It's political.
Senator Harris?
She reminds me so much of, like, if Maria from Sesame Street went into politics and got angry about shit.
Who's that other, the Wisconsin girl that nobody likes? What's her freaking something chur? Yobachur?
Oh my god, this is gold. Keep going. Keep going.
Critical.
They care about the life of the unborn child, but once it's born, you know, it should pull up its little bootstraps and go get a second job and fucking take care of itself, you know?
And positively LGBT positive.
Look, and whenever there's someone coming after my community, they are either wearing a MAGA hat, carrying a Bible, or more often both.
Oh, and occasionally completely absurd.
Oh, they're shutting us down. They're deplatforming us. I do a pretty good Alex Jones voice. They're turning the frogs gay.
Okay, you're sleeping in the child's room tonight because there's no way you're sleeping next to me. That is disgusting. I'm going to have nightmares.
And now, from Haines City, Florida, your host, Sarah Austin.
Hey everybody, welcome to SarahTalk. This has been the first show in like
A long time.
Weeks. It's still the Coronapocalypse. It's episode 202, and we have Kayla Tedder with us. Kayla!
Hi, friends.
What's
I'm
up?
back. I feel honored that this is your first show in a few weeks, and it's me.
Well, it was funny. We were talking. We had a board meeting last night, and we were talking about like how if you weren't gonna do this with us, we would probably have been like, man, I'm tired.
Let's just go to bed.
So you saved the show.
Woohoo!
So what's going on with you? Last time we talked to you,
You didn't have purple hair.
I mean, the last time we talked to you, you did,
we've
but
seen your purple
on the
hair,
show.
but on the show,
This is Kayla's third appearance, which I
Yes.
think entitles her to a jacket or some kind of, we need
do
to
we
come
got?
up with something.
I would appreciate some sort of memorabilia.
About a
Maybe you should
koozie.
make some sort of like tiers.
Jeez.
We'll come up with something fun.
But when you last saw me on the show, my hair was a little bit longer,
Mm-hmm.
it's more brown. So chopped that all off. Now it's purple.
I'm loving it.
I was trying to go for lavender, and it turned out to be a little more bright than I anticipated. So I'm angry at it, actually, but people seem to like it.
I think it's great.
I love it.
I wish I could do that to my hair. Stupid work.
Yeah, I'm doing purple actually. As soon as I feel safe enough to go to my hairstylist.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I just did not go to a hairstylist, just bleached it and dyed it.
Nice.
It worked out.
I wouldn't be afraid to color my own. I've done that before, but I am massively in need of a new style, so I gotta have somebody cut it.
I feel that. But yeah, so last time I think it was when I was actually actively running for office, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, it was August of 2018.
It has been almost 2 years then. Wow. So since that time, I have unfortunately lost an election. And then I went to Polk State, got my associates, transferred to the University of South Florida, and then I've started working as a climate organizer and activist.
Okay, so let's back up for a second. Can we talk about the fact that we have a school named Polk State, which is a county, not a state. I always thought that was kind of weird.
It's a state college in Polk County. Just wrap your head around it. Shut up.
I've always thought that was strange.
It used to be PCC, but then they started having 4-year degrees.
That sounded too much like PCP, and and now what?
You see?
Now
People,
meth. Now
do you
meth is
see
the
what
thing.
I live with?
Oh, I do.
This is why all the rum is always gone.
So, you went to school. What'd you do at school? What'd you
so
study?
I'm still at school.
Yes, you just finished last minute finals and stuff, right? submitting papers and stuff?
So just wrapped up my spring semester, which, as you can imagine, was pretty rough because coronavirus. And so, that was just the worst semester ever. I think I had the worst grades since high school, and I've got straight A's last semester, so I'm just like not happy about any of this, but that's what happens when you're displaced multiple times because of a pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm also working with Our Climate, and that's been good. We've got a lot of online remote work going on. If you're interested in climate work, we are still very, very active. So please, stop on by our page.
Talk about that. What all, sorts of things do you guys do?
Oh, yeah. So we've got webinars that we've been hosting. I haven't actually gotten to host one yet, but there have been a lot of different educational ones on carbon pricing, on how this pandemic relates to climate change. We've got fellows, not in every state, but we've got some in Nebraska, some in Florida, I think some in New York, a few other states. It's actually kind of a fledgling organization, but I really love it. And so we're also working on text banking for voter registration. And a lot of the work that we do is really personal voter contact work. So like you personally connecting with your friends, asking if they're registered to vote, asking if they have the tools they need to vote by mail, which is something that we're especially pushing now with the uncertainty around the pandemic. It's, a good way to get people signed up to vote by mail. And it's especially important because who knows what's going to be happening in November.
We changed ours to vote by mail.
Yep,
we signed up. Yeah, because you just don't know.
Yeah, and there's no harm in signing up to vote by mail. And you can vote by your kitchen table. I think it's great.
Now, Kayla, there's all kinds of voter fraud that happens. Sending things in through the mail. Why the Democrats have people up in Chicago going through the graveyards, finding fresh dirt, and they vote for those dead people. Oh, my God.
And the dirt.
These are actual things I hear.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I believe me, I'm hearing the exact same thing as, somebody who is actively doing this work and trying to get people to register to vote by mail. And believe it or not, the facts just aren't there around, people claiming fraud, etc. People saying that your vote's not going to count. It's actually statistically more likely not to if you go in person.
See, I'm
Interesting.
I'm torn, and I hate this pandemic stuff because, we make it a point to take our kids with us because my parents never did, and so I was not interested in any kind of politics, civics, any of that until in my 30s, but because it just wasn't a thing in our household. And so, early on, we decided, no, we want our kids to know what it's like to go into a polling place and cast your ballot. So they come with us.
Yeah.
And
I don't want the first time they vote to be when they learn all the things.
Yeah.
I want them to go in there the first time with confidence that they've been prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I completely understand that. Yeah, my dad was actually, despite the fact that he's, a Republican and all of that, very civically engaged and civically minded. And so, I have that to thank him for. He would take me into the polling place starting when I was 12 or 13 and say, look, I'm doing the thing. And actually when I was 12 or 13, I didn't care. When I was 15, I started to care a lot more and was really interested in, what was going on. But a lot of that is because, my family was actively interested and engaged. And statistically, that plays a big part in people's engagement later in life.
Jennifer just commented, I always bring Mace. He is always very interested, too, and looks forward to voting one day. Yeah, I think that's, one of the big things that we always have to sit around in these focus groups and try to figure out is why can't we get young people involved in the process? Why are young people so apathetic and don't come out to vote and aren't engaged? And I think that's, this isn't the silver bullet, but it's obviously from those of us just anecdotally talking about it, it's, there's something to it.
that reminds me of a really specific conversation where it's part of young people not voting, I swear, is a self-fulfilling prophecy. You look at young people and say they're not going to vote and their vote doesn't matter, and young people scoff at you and go, yeah, sure, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Bet. You know? And so I actually got into this argument with somebody that, like, we're like Facebook friends or whatever, but I, don't really know her. Turns out she was like president of the local ACLU chapter or whatever. Yeah,
okay.
Fun times.
Yeah.
And so she was going off about how young people voting doesn't matter, etc. And so I had commented on this thread, and she was just totally dismissing me. So I sent her a PM, and I said, I'm not sending this message to be rude or anything. I'm just confused as to why we're friends if you don't really care about or see the value in the youth vote. A lot of my content is geared towards that, so it doesn't seem like you're super open-minded on the issue. I'd love to discuss it with you. A good starting place is my response on the comment thread, so if you're open, let me know. Otherwise, I don't know either of us will really get anything out of being friends with one another on here, which I think is valid.
Yeah.
And she says, because youth don't vote. Duh.
Wow.
And I was like, I can show you some statistics, run different things through RStudio, which is a political science statistic thing that they use. But history shows the youth vote really does matter, and especially in elections like this one. I quoted Bill Clinton's election, Obama's, etc. There's evidence to show that the youth vote helped swing key states that otherwise we wouldn't have won. And besides the youth vote, there's youth engagement, i.e. us knocking on doors, phone banking, that helps to turn out other voters.
Yep.
Youth engagement is exponential, not just, one person showing up to the polls to vote. People drag their friends. It's social.
Yeah.
That's how that works. And so
Let's
she
go
says
vote and then do a bar crawl.
Yeah, so she says, you're delusional. And I say, can you please read the studies? And she says, are you kidding me? I am a PhD who has worked with kids for decades. You're insulting me.
Oh.
Mm.
And
Well, all right then. Click.
Yeah.
Right.
Bye.
Yeah, and so, like, there is just nothing to say to those people.
It's interesting because other things that we do, I notice, like, I don't know. It's once you hit a certain age, and I don't know if I'm there, but probably close. But you get to this certain point, and your brain just goes, I don't know how to young people anymore. What? We've got friends in Tallahassee who have started a humanist group, and it's great. But she's like, they're all old, and like nobody knows how to get young people that want to come in and get involved, and and it's the stuff that. A lot of the stuff that we do in our group in the atheist community of Polk County that they want to do, like go clean up a roadway and do homeless outreach and do, whatever, like all of that kind of community engagement stuff. And she's just like, I just can't, I don't know how to where do I find the young people? I'm like, you're in Tallahassee, really?
Yeah, I would think in a college town.
Really?
It's,
yeah.
Well, sometimes if you can get a couple of young people on board, use them to market it to friends and stuff, then you've got pictures of your organization with young faces or more diverse crowds, etc. And that's kind of a really good starting place for that, I found.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's talk about politics and elections. So actually, no. Let's come back. We were talking about shutting down classes and coronavirus stuff. That's where we were. So how do you feel that we're at in this moment right now? How are things going? What have you been seeing? How's everybody doing? Are we handling this well?
So I think, there's a little bit of a shift in my perspective because, now I'm also in college, so I've got that as another sphere of school to consider. So do you want to talk about K through 12 or more university stuff?
Just like going out in public.
In general.
Are people wearing masks?
I don't go out in public.
City Walk and Disney Springs are open. Like, No, they're
Yeah,
not.
so like,
Okay.
the one person in our household that goes out has been saying like maybe a third to a half of people in any given store will be wearing masks, sometimes more depending on, the store. Like if they go into an Aldi, they've said they've seen more people wear masks or whatever.
Right.
But like, yeah, we get a lot of our groceries delivered. We're really trying not to see anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to suddenly, have a blood vessel in my brain explode, because that's what
Fair.
happen
Yeah.
in young people, and I don't like that idea.
I went out where
You do all the shopping.
I have to do all the shopping. I had to go to Target today to pick up prescriptions, and Target doesn't sell the type of pickles that Sarah eats, so I had to stop at Walmart to get pickles and ice. And oh my God, I would say, let's see. And I went to Michael's too because I needed some stuff for a project I'm working on. So Target was crowded, backed up, busy. It was crazy. I would say probably for every 5 people wearing a mask, there was at least 3 people not wearing a mask.
Wow.
Then I'm at Michael's, and right near Michael's is a Ross, I think. And Ross just reopened. All those stores just reopened. There was a line of people just waiting to get inside of Ross, and I don't think any of them had masks on. And it was like just cram-packed line. They weren't social distancing. There was no marks on the floor for them to stand 6 feet apart. And it was probably like, I don't know, 8 to 10 car lengths long is how long the line was.
Oh my gosh.
And then I went to Walmart, and again, it was just like, there was definitely at least half of the people that I saw did not have masks.
This reminds me of a very fun experience. I did not have this experience, but I had the comfort of watching this experience from my room window. And so, those little graduation parades that they had, for people graduating. Great idea in theory. Everybody stays in their car, holds signs, drives around, whatever, cute moment, community, etc. I watched these people line their cars up, get out of their cars,
Oh my
go up to each other's windows, roll the windows down, no masks, no nothing.
Right.
All the kids are getting out of the cars and interacting with one another. And this is in my little gated community that I was living in. Yeah. And so it's just like a bunch of people all spreading, of course, their virus germs or whatever else. And
at that point, just have a freaking graduation party.
Right. Yeah.
You know what's even more fun?
Hmm.
You know who headed the parade?
Oh God, I'm afraid.
A squad car.
That doesn't surprise me.
No.
at all.
Unfortunately.
No, that doesn't surprise me at all.
It was Lakeland police.
Yeah, the Venn diagram of people who are like, this is all a hoax, and this is dumb, and I hate wearing my mask because it makes my beard itch. The Venn diagram of those people and police officers is a circle, I think. Pretty much. Close to a circle.
There's a lot of Venn diagrams that are just a circle lately with all of this garbage.
You're right. David says, no, we are not handling this well. I agreed. So I'm back at work now. And while we have been taking some precautions and things, it's largely business as usual. I don't see Disney walking around yelling at people to put their masks on or whatever.
No.
I don't know.
I can't talk about it.
What I'm afraid of,
because this is public. I can't talk about it.
Park the truck.
Parking it. I want you to keep your job.
I appreciate that. I don't know. You just lost my train. I don't know where I was going. Damn you.
Well,
Do you want to talk about university side of coronavirus stuff?
Yes.
So it's honestly, I'm gonna curse here. Wow.
Please.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Wow. It's honestly really fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, for every single person. So obviously, the first kind of wave of fuckery was international students had to, kind of figure out how to get out.
Mhm.
Some universities, they were blatantly kicked out with hardly any warning. USF was not like that, thankfully. They said, leave if you can. If you can't, we understand, stay as long as you can. Obviously, try to make arrangements because this is going to go on for a while and we need to get you out of here eventually, but you have time, which I think is a very compassionate, way to approach the situation.
Oh, you mean not like the Disney college program that was like, get out?
Correct.
You have 24
not
hours.
Like that.
Go home.
And so I wasn't living on campus, but I had friends who were, so I was very thankful that was their approach. But then things kind of went downhill from there. So classes transferred online, but then we were doing labs online, and now we're still doing labs online. But then they hadn't adapted much of anything because it was a very rapid shift. Now the labs are a little better structured online, but it was horrible finishing out my biology lab, and a lot of other people had similar experiences. And then beyond just classes being obviously different, we got into, we're being charged distance learning fees.
What?
Wait a minute.
What?
Okay, so hold on. So let me explain a few things. What the university did was, all the classes are online now. Online classes come with their own charges because they have to maintain certain programs in order to have online classes, blah, blah, blah. So, to take about 8 credit hours is what I'm taking. It's like $150 to $200 in distance learning fees.
Okay, but had you already paid for your education on campus? Had you already put that money out there?
No, so I'm talking about summer semester.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, so here's the fun part. They've waived fees like your like the gym fees and stuff like that. Things you can't use since you're now not on campus.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So tuition per credit hour, even with distance learning fees, has gone down. The fun part is that scholarships like Bright Futures don't pay distance learning fees.
Oh my god.
Oh,
so
shit.
I'm actually paying more.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
I have been saying since 1997, college is a for-profit corporation organization. If it wasn't, they wouldn't charge you thousands of dollars for books.
Well, especially,
end.
I'm sorry, the price of education should be going down exponentially now that you can put everything online and give somebody a tablet with all of that information on it.
Yeah.
Because once the information is there, you should, I'm sorry, why am I buying this $50 book if I can get it on a file?
Yeah.
Right.
God,
What's been really good has been there's been sort of a campaign to reduce the cost of textbooks and educate professors that their textbook costs are, first and foremost, keeping students from taking that class.
Mm-hmm.
And so what a lot of my professors have started to do is they'll actually use different excerpts from textbooks or just put the whole of the PDF of their own textbook that they wrote on our Canvas page.
Yeah.
And then my textbook costs for semesters where I don't take heavy science classes have been sub $200.
Okay.
When I take a science class, they make me get the formal textbook, the lab book, everything else, and that's what drives the cost up a lot of times.
Look, if we're not selling textbooks, the Texas economy will go to shit.
That's true. That's all they do out there is make crappy textbooks.
It's insane that we trust
Freaking
Texas
bullshit.
to write all of our textbooks. Insane.
Is that why they're called Texas? Because they write textbooks?
You're hilarious.
I know.
Hey, how do you feel about religious institutions being open during the coronavirus?
I don't like them being open anytime, but I mean, that's just me.
So personally, I honestly, I really appreciate that people want to get in touch with their spiritual side and that's something that's important to them. I understand that it's something that comforts people, has throughout history. It definitely serves an important place in our society, whether or not I want to personally participate in those institutions.
Mm-hmm.
But by that same measure, those institutions also have personal responsibility to keep their participants safe, especially by the virtuous nature of their institution, or so they would like to be considered. And so, given that idea, yeah, that's a very long way of saying, nah, please don't open.
Right?
Please keep your germs.
Kayla, you're so eloquent. I love you.
Thank you, I try.
So we
because I just say, fuck that shit.
Right.
And here you've given this obviously well thought out, you're a beautiful person.
So are you.
we covered that story of that preacher in Tampa that was defying the stay-at-home order, and then they changed the governor, superseded the local ordinance, and made it okay for churches or whatever. Well, now I think this is a Today story, like right out of the gates today, New York Times. This is earlier today. Coronavirus live update. Trump urges reopening of houses of worship as CDC suggests limits for them. So, once again, here we are with the experts being like, guys, listen. We said you shouldn't probably get together in groups of 10 or more. Like, stay apart from each other, wear a mask if you absolutely can't stay away from each other. Like, this is serious stuff. Look at the 1918 flu pandemic, and things could get real fucking bad the rest of the year here. And we're like, nah, man, but my church. Got to go to my church. And then there's all of these fucking stories of these pastors that are like, no, my God is bigger than the coronavirus. And then like half the congregation comes down with it. Or in that one case, the pastor died from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is the pastor, honestly, being selfish. There is no reason that those congregants can't individually, pray in their houses, or if they really want people outside of their family, pick their favorite neighbor, wear a bunch of masks, sit outside, do Bible study on Sunday.
Sure, there's ways around it. And
there are plenty of ways around it. I
really appreciate the ones that that you went to, like, drive-in movie style church, or moved all of their sermons to you. Like, we're live streaming them to YouTube anyway. Like, now you just watch them on YouTube. Just don't come to here.
Right. There's ways to do it.
I appreciate the ones that it's so strange though, and I think we've talked about this before. But like, because I'm kind of caught, because I appreciate the ones that are like, no, we get it. We need to let's do the distancing thing. It's the medical experts are saying this is what we do. On the other hand, the ones that are like, my God is bigger than the coronavirus, those are the people who are like following their doctrine. Like, if you truly believe that the Lord will protect you, and if two or more of you come in my name, and anything will be granted to you in Jesus' name. Like, if that's what your doctrine is, I mean, at least you're staying true to your doctrine. It's the same thing we've talked about before, too, with, like, the churches that are finally okay with gay people. Like,
for me, I'm glad that is, you have a text that's very malleable, something that can be interpreted in a lot of ways. And they're interpreting it in the way that serves them in that moment, not that serves the greater good, which is what's ultimately problematic.
Yeah. Let's see. What do we got here? Jennifer says if they are now considered essential business, they need to pay taxes. The church is, Britain says the church is like the gym. You don't need either to be open to do the thing that you go there to do.
Exactly.
Britain, come back on the show, buddy. We love you. We miss you.
We can do Zoom.
Yeah, we'll get you on Skype. It's all right.
Skype.
It's cool. We need to talk about your transition, Britain, from spiritual believer kid to
whatever you are right now. That is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Married life, all of that stuff.
Yeah. All the things.
California.
And then part-time patron Russell says not to give them praise, ding, but the JWs are doing Zoom meetings.
I want to talk about that.
Okay.
Because so everybody
Now's the
knows
time.
my mom's a JW, and when this all went down, I panicked because they're very like come together, like tight knit, you know, when things happen, you go together. And I was like terrified that they were going to just keep having meetings and that she was just going to go because that's what you do. And so I was pleasantly shocked when she said, nope, we're locking down. Everybody's on Zoom and that's it. I was like, whoa, good. I'm glad, because now I don't have to have that kind of anxiety that she's going to get sick from her freakishly weird cult friends. But like, yeah, like that's so.
Yeah. Let me read this. This is from the New York Times. President Trump stepped into the culture wars again on Friday, taking the side of some religious leaders against governors who have moved slowly in reopening houses of worship amid the pandemic. Without any clear authority to do so, Mr. Trump said that he was calling houses of faith, including churches, synagogues, and mosques, essential services, and urged governors to reopen them right now. After he spoke, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention issued a number of long-delayed guidelines with suggestions for steps that houses of worship can take to curb the spread of the virus. Quote, today I am identifying houses of worship, churches, synagogues, and mosques as essential places that provide essential services, Mr. Trump said at a hastily scheduled briefing at the White House on Friday. Some governors have deemed liquor stores and abortion clinics as essential, but have left out churches and other houses of worship. It's not right.
What? Okay.
Listen.
Hold on a minute. I'm sorry, but abortion clinics, that's not what
you mean a medical facility?
You mean a medical facility
Yeah.
where women go to get the birth control that they need to keep their freaking...
And a whole host of other services.
But think about this for a minute. We're on lockdown. These girls are stuck at home. They need their damn birth control.
No shit.
I mean, like.
Sorry.
From a Republican perspective, I'm sure you can just put the pregnancy on pause. That's how.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, right?
But I mean, I do want to point out one thing. He included institutions that weren't churches.
I was shocked at that.
That's a step in the right direction.
True.
Right? He actually said synagogues and mosques out loud.
Yeah.
I mean...
That's inclusivity right there.
Was it though, or was it like the veil of appearing?
Yeah.
Like,
All right.
you know.
He didn't mean it.
I mean...
Here's another story that we kind of have to cover, because this takes place in the town where my sister lives.
Oh, this one was so... Okay, I thought you were going somewhere else. I like this.
This from the Friendly Atheist. Unless you have a penis, you can't lead a prayer at a Wiley, Texas council meeting. Not as long as Eric Hogue is the mayor of the Texas town, where, by the way, he also ministers the congregation at the Cottonwood Church of Christ. A week ago, Mayor Hogue was asked by a colleague if young representatives of Youth with a Mission could come to the next council meeting and lead everyone in prayer. The answer should have been absolutely not, because prayers at council meetings go against the Establishment Clause of our country's Bill of Rights. But the town
he went a different route.
The town has conducted pre-meeting public prayers for ages because, hey, this is good old boy Texas, where Christians don't have to follow the rules. Instead, Hogue's emailed reply was, "Sounds good. I would like that. All I ask is that those leading the prayer be young men." When that email leaked and a local blogger made it public, Hogue explained that he was only going by his biblical convictions and that he won't compromise his beliefs to try to appease people. "I am a Church of Christ preacher, and I am a member of the Church of Christ, and we take the New Testament literally." And then he quoted 1 Corinthians 14:34-35, "Let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, and also saith the law. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for women to speak in the church."
But that says in the church, not in the city council meeting.
It's right there. The 6th, 7th, and 8th words, also the last 3 in the church.
There you go.
Any preacher who wants to be a sexist stooge, well, that's his business in his own wretched house of prayer. He will please keep his religious beliefs out of the public square. Government business is not religious business. We've had lots of posts on the doubtful legality of council meetings that open with a town official or a guest leading everyone in prayer, but I don't recall a single case where the Holy Rollers scored the perfect trifecta. 1, having a convocation prayer at a government meeting. 2, banning women from leading the convocation. And 3, defending the practice with Bible verses. Freedom from Religion Foundation has been notified about this issue.
Okay, we need we need you to volunteer as tribute.
Me?
Yes. Well,
For
you're
what?
you're a woman with a penis. You need to march right
Oh,
into
that's
that city
true.
council
I'm
and
the
say a
loophole.
prayer.
I have the loophole. Yeah. Right. So, well, to my sister and my brother-in-law,
You got a place to stay.
I got a place to stay. Can I come down? Hey, I just gave an invocation at the Polk County
I saw that.
Board
Yeah, that was great.
Commissioners. Thank you.
Britain says the 3 sacred P's of the church: prophets, prophecies, prayers, and of course penises.
Oh, man.
Something I think is really beautiful, though, like within, Christianity, is the movement towards women being able to hold those
Right.
roles. One of my friends actually has a daughter who's studying, I guess it's called ministry or something like that, and wants to be one of those people who leads prayer and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, it's great for them and, super, empowering for women.
Yeah. That's one of those things that when we sat down and put together the atheist community nonprofit, we were like, okay, if we're going to do any work in the community, we're probably going to have to partner with some other organizations. We're not going to have the funding or the real estate to start up our own programs right out of the gate, right?
Yeah.
Well, all of them here are faith-based. And so where do you draw that line in the sand?
I think
I think where we landed was, look, if we can agree that separation of church and state is an important thing because it protects your church and it protects me as a non-believer. If we can understand, if you can come to the table and understand that is important, and we can work together on that, that being our thing that we have in common. I might be able to overlook that you don't let women be clergy, or that you don't let gays get married in your church. And those are passionate positions of mine that I really want to tell them to fuck off about. But if we just stay in our silos and don't try to work together at all, will we ever have any influence on better outcomes
I think
in the long term?
I think I went into that with a lot more hard a hard line of, well, I'm not going to work with these people because I had a lot more of that than I do now.
Uh-huh.
Now it's I'm not going to work with a church that has been in the news because their pastor has done something.
Right. Yep.
But
yes, of course.
That. But on that same token, if we can come together on this one thing and put our energy into this one thing, so then that's you were saying, where do you draw the lines? I really think they need to draw the line, because I think as easy as it is to say, oh, I want to go do good, we're the ones with the scarlet letter,
right?
And so,
for sure,
we can give so much, but at the end of the day, if they don't want to work with us because of our, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So we have to be more Christ-like sometimes.
Certainly encountered that.
I mean,
we need them to be more Christ-like. They need more like us, more Christ-like.
But that's what I'm saying. We have to, we have to just lead by example and be willing and not put those barricades there, because there's going to be barricades there that we didn't put there.
Yep.
So,
well, let me give you an example, right? Our roadway cleanups. If some church wanted to come get together with us on a Saturday morning or whatever we're doing it, and come pick up trash on a roadway with us, fine.
Right.
Come on out. We would be welcome. And if you want to go with your crew and stand around in a circle and pray first, go for it.
But Sarah, there's a church that's going to do it, and then they're going to try to convert you when they do it.
That's exactly my point. Yes, that's where I was headed.
Yeah, but they're cleaning the road, and on the side of the road, there's a sign that says this is
the atheist
community. And so, let's see, what's the perception?
Right.
Not many groups are going to go, oh, yeah, I'll go clean that road with you. And because I've noticed, and this is just, most religious people are all about the perception that they give.
Mm-hmm.
It's this persona. They have to be all things to all people. I mean, and I got it my whole life growing up. Like, what do you know? You're giving my family a bad name by wearing that, or what, whatever it is. It doesn't. It's just this. It's so annoying. But I do think that there's not going to be many groups that would willingly go and do that.
Well, so to bring it back to the invocations, like, obviously my opinion is we should just stop doing, like, we don't need to pray at my work before we go get started for the day. Like, we have a meeting where we, like a pre-shift, where we talk about, here's the important things that you need to know as I hand off from my shift to your shift.
Well,
like, that's what we do. But because they allow religious people to come and pray, and because the courts have said, if you're going to do that, you also have to, you can't discriminate. You have to allow all of the other faiths, and yes, even the godless heathen atheists, then somebody needs to be there to represent. And if it shows, like, we're not going to bring pig's blood and goat's head or whatever the hell Braswell said, like, again, it's about changing the perception that people have of atheists.
And I think about, like, the kickback is always going to be, well, this is just the way we've always done it. I would love to have, like, a numbers person go, like, and look at every single decision that, like, a county commission or whoever has made, and then pin them one for one, like which ones turned out good and which ones turned out bad. Because I'd love to see the statistics behind that, because I almost guarantee that you can somehow with those statistics prove that the prayer or invocation didn't really push to those outcomes.
Oh, sure. No.
And so what's really the point?
Right. No. Sure.
I mean, I think part of that problem is the subjective nature of the terms, good outcome and bad outcome, because, wow, county commission pushed something that gentrified an entire community. Lots of people are going to look at that as a great thing.
Yeah.
It's true.
Hey, let's change gears completely and talk about everybody's favorite creepy Uncle Joe.
Love that.
No, don't smell my hair. Get out of here. Get out of here.
I'm going to be upfront for the sake of our audience, and, I do hold a position in the party. I do support our presumptive nominee, but there are nevertheless concerns I have about his campaign, his candidacy, and I think more importantly to me, some of the narratives that have been driven, not necessarily by him, but some of the fellow Democrats around me. And I'll get more into that.
Yes. So let's just start through some of the headlines of the past, week, 24 hours. And then we can kind of go from there. Obviously, the big one, we spent an entire episode 2 weeks ago, or whenever we did the last episode, talking about the allegations from Tara Reid, and at that time Biden had gone on whatever morning show and was denouncing those allegations, and we played that video back and kind of cut in and broke it down and talked about it at the time. So let's start from there. What was your take from that point, or from what we know up to that point?
So my feelings over that have like really developed over time. So I think I really started with, wow, he's being accused of this. I'm also going to be honest, I'm a sexual assault survivor, and so to me, I want to see people held accountable if they've done something. I want to, first of all, see an actual investigation happen, and for the claim to be given credibility, or at least not be dismissed.
Right.
So, yeah, that's kind of a few of my feelings there. And so, I was hoping, I'll use the word even praying, that my fellow Democrats would use the same kind of standard that they hold people like Brett Kavanaugh to.
Right.
Which is, I'm not the first person to say that. I'll not be the last person to say that. but, you know, if we're going to sit here and believe Brett Kavanaugh's accusers, or at least give them the time of day and the light to share their story, then we should be doing the exact same thing for everyone else.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I think what's been most damaging for me about this entire situation isn't if it damages Biden's candidacy or what that means about people in positions of power, because that's never been anything new.
Yep.
You know, I think what's most damaging for me is that my fellow Democrats are using the exact same lines, the exact same narratives, the exact same tactics to try to destroy this woman before they've ever heard her out. You know, the same exact tactics that Republicans use.
Right.
You know, and as a sexual assault survivor, and as somebody with a lot of sexual assault survivor friends, we're watching this happen from inside of our party, wondering if we have a place here.
Yeah.
You know.
It seems to me like with the Me Too movement, it felt like a window had finally been opened and some fresh air was blowing in, right? Like, okay, some people are finally being held accountable for this, and hopefully this is the new normal of how this is going to be. And over time that it'll happen less and less because there's finally some consequences and you know, like all of that stuff. It felt like a window had been opened and some stale air kind of went out. We had some fresh air come in. Mm-hmm. We were on a positive trend, I guess. I mean, my God, we ran Al Franken out of Washington. Where we've gone just even from Clinton, from that whole scandal with Monica Lewinsky, and how the nation saw that and how it was all processed, and from there to today through the whole Me Too movement, it felt like there was finally a shift, and then it felt like, okay, maybe not. Like. Mm-hmm.
I think the worst feeling is that if it's politically expedient to throw victims under the bus, regardless of who they are, who anybody is, what party it is, then it's going to happen. And I think that's absolutely disgusting.
Yep.
And I want to be very clear here. Again, that's not a criticism of Biden. That's not a criticism of his campaign. I don't largely see his campaign as responsible for those narratives. I see his campaign as responsible for not providing a consistent, strong narrative on the situation or being open about it. That's what his campaign is responsible for.
Right.
But Democrats at large are responsible for these narratives that they're pushing.
Yep. And it's just such a weird time too, because you've got, you know, here we were again, Statler and Waldorf down at the finish line, and so you had that division already, and then like so now there is an attempt to pull everybody try to pull everybody together, and like let's rally around our candidate. And I think I told you this offline, like I've had someone casually mention this or ask, you know, like, hey, if you know anybody, whatever, let me know. I'm sorry, I don't know anybody who's excited for Biden. I know a lot of people who, like David just said, the only reason I'm voting for Joe is Trump. Yeah. If he was running against anyone else, I'd be voting third party. Like, so those are those, and maybe this is the bubble that I've created for myself, right? But I don't see anybody that's out there going, yes, Joe, that was my guy. I can't wait for Joe. All I hear is, well, I guess that's what we got to do, you know? Like, and that, I want to be excited.
I know a couple of people, and they're all either older and were Joe Biden supporters the first, second, or what is it now, third time he's running. You know, they were supporters all those times, and I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the people on payroll.
Yeah.
And those are the people who are excited, you know? And, like, I understand this is politics and practicality. You don't have to be excited. You just have to do the thing.
Yeah.
But it really helps convince people to do the thing that wouldn't otherwise do the thing if
Yes.
it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought if we learned nothing from Bernie in 2016, that fire and excitement that driving people to be, you know, like, and hell, even Obama, who for his terms, you know, I could give you a pro and con list. He wasn't my favorite president of all time, but you know, even in his campaigns, it was hope and change, and it was a lot to get excited about, and he was very charismatic, and that's we don't have that.
He's a great orator, you know, regardless of what you think about Obama. He's an incredibly charismatic person, a great speaker, and like you said, he ran on that campaign of hope and change and involving people, you know, trying to get people engaged. I mean, part of his candidacy was running a massive voter registration campaign, you know, and it's all about getting people to vote that otherwise wouldn't,
right.
And that's what we need.
So let's look at this headline. We're talking about the situation with Tara Reid. This dropped just as we were going to air. Lawyer for Biden accuser Tara Reid drops her as a client. This is out of the Associated Press. The attorney working with Tara Reid, the former Joe Biden Senate staffer who alleged he sexually assaulted her in the 90s, said Friday he is no longer representing her with just 2 weeks after he first began working with her. Do you know anything about this guy? Because I really didn't.
I know nothing about that guy at all.
Douglas Wigder said in a statement the decision to drop Reid came on Wednesday of this week, and that it wasn't a reflection on the veracity of her claims, but he offered no specifics on why he and his firm are dropping her. He said he and others at his firm still believe Reid's allegation against Biden, that he, I'm not going to read the complaint. Biden has vehemently denied her claims. Multiple current and former Biden staffers have said they have no recollection of such an incident. In his statement, Wigder said his firm believed that Reid had been, quote, subjected to a double standard in the media, and that much of the coverage surrounding her biography had little to do with her claims against Biden. Yeah, it's just strange. But it's another one of those things that I'm sure we're going to read way into the tea leaves on and, you know, make a whole big thing out of. But
yep. And people are going to pick into it and tear it apart and use it to further shred that lady to bits without ever listening or realizing that maybe that's not how to approach this.
Right. The AP continues. Wigder is well known for his work on prominent cases related to sexual harassment and assault. He represented 6 women who accused Harvey Weinstein, the disgraced Hollywood producer, of sexual misconduct. He has also represented a number of Fox News employees in cases alleging gender and racial discrimination at the network, and he's a frequent political donor, giving tens of thousands to Democratic politicians in New York and about $55,000 to Donald Trump in 2016, according to FEC records. That's interesting. So it'll be real interesting to see how this gets covered and how, you know, how the needle moves with all of this stuff going. I just want a candidate that doesn't have all this shit storm around him. Like, and I get it. Everybody's going to be like, oh, the politicians, everybody's got skeletons in their closet. Yeah, okay, but maybe not. We're not.
Yeah, maybe that skeleton doesn't need to be sexual assault.
Right.
Maybe that I'm okay with that skeleton being like, you know, a drug binge or something over in your 20s, something normal, healthy.
Yes. The other another Biden headline that's popped up this week is Biden has now, of course, he said at was that one of the very last debates where they were, he said something about that he was going to pick a black woman to be his vice president. And then the headline drops this week. Biden asks Amy Klobuchar to undergo vetting as possible running mate.
Well, to be clear, he's asked a lot of people.
Right.
That also includes black women. And they're also deliberately floating that headline so that they can gauge a response to it, is the important part. So the more negative response that happens, the less likely she's going to be VP.
Yeah. And I'm not interested. Yeah, no, not... Oh, what did I say? I had a really funny comeback to that. Let me find it. What I thought was really funny, anyway. Yeah, whatever. I'm not going to be able to find it now. But basically, it was like an old white dude and folksy Midwestern woman. Something like that. Yeah, so I mean, I wasn't excited by her at all in any of the things. She didn't, and I'm a Midwestern person. Like, I'm from the Midwest, and she just didn't, that charm didn't do anything for me. I'm not interested. I don't, like, and what's interesting, I guess, maybe what's interesting is that she is the headline, that's the one that they've run with, right? To your point, that they are... Obviously, he's going to be considering several people, but this is the headline that's out there getting feedback. I think is interesting.
Oh yeah, and then also to another point is I see a lot of people saying that like Elizabeth Warren would be a good vice president. Also, to be very clear, I'm like the hardest Elizabeth.
Yeah,
Warren
you are.
and you will ever meet. She's my idol. She's one of the reasons I got into politics. I do not want her as the vice presidential candidate.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think that at this point that is how we meet this moment.
Yep.
As much as I adore her.
Yeah. Well, there was a big part of me too that like once I got over my butt hurt about because I was Bernie and Warren were my picks. And so after that, like, okay, well, I'm not getting what I want. Okay, so now it has to be about, like, if I can't get excited about the presidential nominee, then we've got to get excited about down ballot races. We've got to take back the Senate. We've got to hold the House. What's happening right now in the judiciary is appalling. And if you're not paying attention to that, you're losing. And so we need the strong people who are in Congress that have been doing that hard work and know the ropes to be there. So let's keep them there for a bit, right? Like, okay, well, Bernie's going to kick the bucket one of these days, but if he can go back to the Senate and, just hang in there a little bit, like that'd be great too.
Absolutely. And I would love to see Elizabeth Warren take up some kind of position in the Senate, like, majority leader or something of that nature.
Yes.
When we take it back, that is.
That'd be great.
And that would be amazing. She's got the experience. She's got connections. She, makes an effort to make friends with, people regardless of their political affiliation. And she's been shown to, even get Republicans on board with some of her progressive policies. So I think that could be, a really big thing for, not only our country, but also, her career.
Yep, for sure.
That I think would be better and more powerful even than president or vice president to some extent.
Do you have any thoughts on VP picks? Are you rooting for anybody? Or are you not allowed to be public about your choices?
It isn't that we're not allowed to.
Do you have to preface it with these are the opinions of Kayla only?
Yeah, I can't really rag on anyone too hard or, say that, don't vote for Joe Biden or whatever.
Right.
else.
No, of course not.
Vote for Joe Biden, vote for his, vice president, all of that.
Yep.
But as far as if I'm rooting for anybody specifically, Who's the list that he's floating right now? I
Well,
haven't looked at that.
Val Demings was on the list.
Okay. I don't think that's a bad choice.
Right. Let's see. New Mexico.
I think Stacey Abrams is a poor choice.
Yep.
I mean, like, if she is the pick, I will still be excited about that personally. I just, like, my concerns come from a place of, overall strategy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, who's leading? There we go. Biden says expects the vetting to be completed by July and appears to be taking advice from the man who once tapped him for the number 2 role, former President Barack Obama. Let's see. New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. Senator Dick Durbin. Tricky Dick.
Oh, Susan Rice would be an interesting choice.
Yeah. Tammy Duckworth. Interesting. I don't know that I've had any name like come across the page that I've been like, oh yes, that's it. Pick that one. That's the one I want. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a lot of pros and cons with all of these, but there's also something that I want to point out too is that, when we're talking about vice presidential picks, I think that, and like maybe I just didn't pay attention when Hillary was choosing hers or when Obama was choosing his, but I think that we give a lot more scrutiny to the women that we're looking over for vice president. With Tim Kaine, of course, there was some criticism because, you're just picking another white man that doesn't have a whole lot of name recognition.
Who? That was my response. Who?
But for a large part, it was just let go.
Yeah.
Honestly, and there wasn't as much speculation around it because, everybody figured it was going to be a man. Which white man are you choosing? We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't care was almost the attitude.
Right.
With this, it's, high profile for a couple of reasons. I think because Joe Biden is a less compelling candidate than Hillary Clinton, largely because he doesn't have the woman thing going for him, among other things. But, also that his vice presidential pick is likely to be female also gives us a lot more room to, tear her apart like this.
Right. And I know, so I have not been deeply engaged in how all of this political structure works. But of the little reading that I have done, it has been talk of things like, well, you're going to pick somebody who's popular in a state you need. That you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to pick somebody, you're going to win California. Don't pick somebody from California. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a Democrat and you're running, don't pick somebody from a state you have locked up. That you're going to try to bring somebody in who will help you, or in a region. It's a regional thing, right? If you need the South.
I think there's some virtue in that with states like Florida. But, I think it also, we have to take into consideration not just that one state, because Florida is just 29 electoral votes. Florida is important, absolutely. Obviously, Florida is important. But at the same time, Michigan, Pennsylvania, etc. And if you throw all of your cards into, that person's from that state, now we're going to win that state, that doesn't pan out.
Yeah. Russell asked how you feel about
I answered that while you were gone. He must not have been paying attention.
Well, I was gone.
So. So now this one, and this is the last story I have. This one involves a video clip. I'm not even going to tee it up. Let me just play it.
I want to ask you about your running mate. I don't know if you saw. Well, I saw the day that the news report broke that Amy Klobuchar was being vetted, and a lot of people on social media, they're not too happy about that. And It's because they want your running mate to be a black woman. I don't know if you saw the op-ed in the Washington Post by some of the leading black women voices in this country, and they feel since black women are such a loyal voting bloc, and black people saved your political life in the primaries this year, they have things they want from you, and one of them is a black woman running mate. What do you say to them?
What I say to them is that I'm not acknowledging anybody who is being considered, but I guarantee you there are multiple black women being considered. Multiple.
Well,
Thanks so much. That's really our time. I apologize.
You can't do that to black media.
I can't do that to white media and black media because my wife has to go on at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Oh, I'm in trouble.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see.
Take a look at my record, man. I extended the voting rights 25 years. I have a record that is second to none. The NAACP has endorsed me every time I've run. Come on. Take a look at the record.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Anyway, thanks. I will come back.
All right.
I look forward to seeing you in person.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay, pal. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it, Charlamagne.
Okay, pal.
Okay. Now, listen, that under any other circumstance.
Second to none.
Under any other circumstance, that was just Biden hanging out with his homies, okay?
Yeah, I guess. All right, Chief.
Do you see how it's like, I can totally see that. But also, then it hits the shitstorm of the media.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, you can't talk like that, man. Like, I don't care if they're your bros or not, but you can't say shit like that. So this was an 18-minute radio interview with Charlamagne the God this morning.
Yeah.
Biden responded to the host's desire for the candidate to answer more questions. You've got questions, I'll tell you what. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. Wow. Now, he hours later, he did come on and apologize. He said the remarks were really unfortunate and said that he shouldn't have been such a wise guy. I shouldn't have been so cavalier in responding, he said during a phone call with the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce on Friday afternoon. No one should have to vote for any party based on their race or religion or background. At another point in the call, Biden admitted, I know that the comments have come off like I was taking the African-American folks for granted, but nothing could be further from the truth. I've never, ever done that, and I've earned it every time I've run. I was making the point that I've never taken a vote for granted.
I believe that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
He's got a record to back that up.
That's the most genuine.
But, yeah.
The clip that I just played is the most genuine Biden thing I have seen in months. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Unfortunately, but yeah.
That might be the most genuine Biden thing you've seen in months because, they've largely been trying to avoid the public eye.
That's true. It just, from, whether he's just not, in debate mode, he's just struggles with that sort of environment.
Mm-hmm.
I think the key to this for him, I think, is finding that. Here's the thing: is finding that stride. Let me finish the thought. Is finding that environment where he just clicks and it's just pal Joe hanging around,
right,
having a chat. On the other hand, we have headlines taking over the news right now that Joe was like, if you don't know the difference between me and Trump, you're not black enough. What's wrong with you? Trump can say anything he fucking wants at any moment about anything, about anyone, to any degree he possibly can, and it's just like, whatever,
nobody
he's the
comes
president.
For him. Yeah.
Well, and we run media stories, but nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
It just bounces off of him.
Mm-hmm.
That's some bullshit.
It really is. The double standards have always been something that really, really frustrates me. Because it's like how do you even begin to communicate when you don't even have the same basis of equally applying your morals and values?
Yeah.
Determine what they are and then apply them to everything. That's not a hard concept. You're just not doing it right.
Yep. So who the hell knows? And I keep thinking like I think a lot of what's going to come down to November is what happens to the I think the coronavirus is going to play more of a role in what happens in November than maybe anything else. And I only think that because I have a high expectation that the second wave is coming. It's just a matter of when and how that is perceived by the people. What was that?
That's how every pandemic has worked.
Yeah. And so how will that be how will Trump be perceived in that moment, and when is that moment? And I think if we could look ahead and see those two things, we would have, you could answer the question right now.
Yeah,
you could call it.
Well, of course.
That's
why they call it hindsight.
It'll
2020,
be interesting.
Not foresight 2020.
It'll be interesting for
After
sure.
2020 is over, everything will be clear.
Oh my God.
Come on. It's kind of funny.
I just want to sit around and pet my kitty.
TD likes that idea.
Yeah?
Oh my God.
My kid wants a cat so bad, and we're just not.
No.
No, we can't.
She's too evil about it. I'd be afraid she'd try to set the cat on fire. I mean, she's already damned the dog to death so that she can get a freaking cat.
Yes, Sarah was telling me about that. That's really funny.
Just pure evil.
Yeah. Well, then Gizmo needs to die so I can get a cat. Whoa.
What the fuck?
Hold on.
Freaking 4-year-old talking about
my
murdering a
God.
dog. I don't. And we thought the other one was going to give us problems.
I mean, it's your kid.
Yeah, well,
you're not wrong. Okay, well, bring us home then. How do you want to close out? Do you have any other things you want to talk about?
Close out by saying, be gay, do crime.
Yay, there you go.
Oh my gosh.
Register to vote by mail. Vote.
Check out the climate.
Do that.
So did you put the site up there? You need to.
What is that?
Give it a plug.
Ourclimate.us. Is that it?
Yes, that is it. And then we also have social medias. So if you find our Facebook, we've got a lot of events that go up on there, like our text banking and stuff. And we've got a lot of really friendly get-together kind of Zoom events. So if you're looking for a larger climate community, we're here.
Awesome. I love it.
We love you.
Yeah, come back more often. Why the hell did it take so long?
Right?
Oh wait, you've been doing important
She's
things.
been
Never
kind
mind.
of busy activisting
and
It won't
schooling.
be
And
2
schooling.
years this time.
What's that?
It won't be 2 years till the next time.
Okay, good.
That's good.
Well, we'll have to offline later, and I know we will, but I think we should get you in on the atheist community program to talk about our climate more.
Yes.
And get into that. I
I'd
think
love
that's
to.
I think that's something that our folks over there would be really
Yeah,
interested
we
in.
got a lot of
Environmentally minded folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
Well,
about it.
Do all those things. Kayla, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us again. We love you.
Thanks, guys.
Yay.
So it was a show tonight.
Yay. Good times.
Woohoo.
All right. Well, let's wrap up the show here. I'm going to mute you. And what?
You're so rude.
There's so many buttons to press
I know.
and stuff.
It's okay.
Hey, look, I don't know when we're going to do another show again, but it'll be a week or 2 weeks or whenever we do another show. I'm back to work, so we might be back into our normal routine.
Routine-ish. Well, tonight it was close. The little one almost didn't go down.
Right.
So that's always a big factor of everything.
Yep. So in the meantime, we tried to do some online gaming. That was fun. We had a good time with some folks.
I'm going to try to continue to do that.
Do some more of that. Yeah.
Now that I know how to run the operation.
Yeah. So you can come play games with Becca while I'm at work.
Ooh, yeah.
That'll be fun.
We'll just badmouth Sarah all night.
We're going to record
You guys
all of
can
that,
give
right?
me ideas on things to do to fuck with her studio.
Absolutely not. Hey, stay away from each other. Keep your hands to yourself and wash your hands. We love you, everybody.
SarahTalk is made possible by listener support. Visit patreon.com/SarahTalk to become a patron and help keep this program going. Contact Sarah and Company by email at producer@sarahtalk.com or call 224-40-SARAH. That's 224-407-2724. And follow us on social media, facebook.com/SarahTalkRadio and on Twitter @SarahTalkRadio. The opinions and information provided on this show are intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions are solely that of the hosts and their guests. We make no representations as to accuracy, completeness, timeliness, or validity of any information and will not be liable for any errors or damages. Sarah Talk is a production of Sarah Austin Media.